Good morning. At least now the MC has already introduced my name, so I won't do that. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of a not-for-profit company called Quirky 30, and also now Quirky Innovations. So what I do on my day-to-day life, I work with high school dropouts, I work with teenage moms, I work with unemployed youth, I work with ex-offenders and also prisoners. I spend most of my time teaching them how to code, graphic design, cloud training, and also entrepreneurship. So how did that journey come about? Now, I was born and raised in the township, which is just 10 minutes away from here if you are a Schumacher, but if you are not, it's 15 minutes away. And I started school at the age of 4. I finished matric age 16. Had nothing to do, no aspirations to go to university. So I started doing business robberies and heist jobs. And when I was about to turn 19, I got arrested and went to prison for 11 years. So it's been almost 4 years now since I've been out of prison. And just last week, I was doing a feature film, a feature documentary now for West Bank, which is the car finance bank. And it was even my first time going back to the crime scene or a place where my last robbery took place, which is just here in Sea Point Main Road. And I was anxious but overwhelmed with the whole experience, because I mean, it's been 15 years since I've been there. Ever since I got arrested in 2002, I've never went there again. But yeah, sometimes, you know, you have to come in contact with your worst fears, and that's what prison has told me about. Because I mean, in prison, you learn a different type of psychology that you can never find in any of the psychology books. You can go to the best universities in the world, whether it's Harvard, it's Oxford, it's Cambridge, it's Stanford, you'll never find it. Because if I have a problem with you, there's no way that I can take your name and put it to the next transfer list to another prison. It means that I'll still be challenged by you for the next 5 or 10 years that I'll be here. But now the gift in prison is that it's never about fixing the external, it's about fixing you. Those questions should be posed on you. A simple analogy. If you wake up every morning and let's assume everyone starts at the bathroom rather than the kitchen to make coffee, you stand in front of the mirror, who do you see? Yourself. And if there's a boil or something in your face, where do you fix? Do you fix the mirror or you fix you? So prison teaches you those valuable lessons, that now it's never about fixing the external, it's about fixing you. Now, as I said, that I finished school at a very young age, and since standard 6 and up until standard 10, I've never seen a guidance teacher. Now, I studied, or I went to school in the old system where we used to have a guidance period. So finishing school and even not being able now to acquire an ID at the age of 16 because I was never eligible. So I had to wait up until I was 18. And that's when I started getting noticed. So when I was about to turn 19, I got arrested and went to prison for 11 years. That's where I started my small, medium, and micro enterprises in prison. People don't believe that I started my business in prison. Even though that I was smuggling marijuana, but it was a business. Because I had 4 prison officials who were on my payroll. For 4 years awaiting trial, I never ate prison food in Bosmo. I ate all the KFCs and the Nandos. I had everything figured out, from production to supply chain, product and market. And everything changed when I got sentenced and I was transferred from Bosmo prison to Brandflay Maximum Security Facility, which is based in Worcester Prison. Now, in Brandflay Maximum, they used to have a section there called Afghanistan. It's a war zone. Firstly, no prison warder wants to work there. Secondly, no prisoner wants to serve time there. Now, in South Africa, we have over 224 prisons. So if you are a troublemaker in all these prisons, they send you to Brandflay. It's kind of like a dumping site for all the troublemakers. Now, because I left Bosmo with a bad reputation, and also because I'm a former 26 High gang member, so I was chased from one section to another in prison, because, I mean, you know, most people pimp, you know. But unfortunately, they've never caught me with drugs. They've never caught me with money. because I always get the information prior them coming to come and search. So I make sure that I hid everything away. So because I left Posmo with a bad reputation, so I was placed in that section called Afghanistan. But then now, a couple of months there, I realized something. That, in this country, we are blessed with amazing people, with great intellect. I've never went to university or college. And I'm grateful that I've never went there. Because today, I can be able now to share authentic and original experiences that I've come into contact with, experiences that I've come to learn, experiences that I've come to realize, insights that have just surfaced in my own learning experience or in my own journey. Now, spending time in Afghanistan, one of the reasons why I always tell people that if you're looking for best entrepreneurs, go source them in prison. Because 3 important qualities that makes a successful entrepreneur. Prisoners possess those qualities naturally. 1, if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, you have to know how to hustle. And in prisons, we have the best hustlers. 2, you must have the courage to take risks. And in prison, we have the best risk takers. 3, you must know how to network. And in prison, we have the best networkers. It's just that they choose the wrong product in life, which is crime. Now, I come from a robbery background. I used to do business robberies and heist jobs. It's 15 guys who don't know each other, coming from different townships, but they come together for one common goal. And they hit the heist, split the money, bye-bye. We don't see each other. And I've never seen people that are so innovative and creative as criminals. Let me give you a simple rundown quickly. Let's assume that you buy a house. What's your name? Very nice. Let's assume that you buy a new home. You're happy, you have a new home. I come in and break into your house. What do? You secure the house. You put on burglar bars, but what you don't know indirectly is that you are giving me task number 2, how to break into your house with burglar bars. Once I have that figured out, I come in and expose your weaknesses. And then guess what happens? You put on alarm systems and motion sensors. For me, that's task number 3. It's kind of like every system you put in place stimulates me to think innovatively and creatively even more. And then once I have that figured out, I come in and expose your weaknesses. And then guess what happens? You hire an armed response team. For me, that's task number 4. Because I figured I have to figure out in terms of how many times does this guy patrol that vicinity. And if it happens that an alarm system goes off, what is their response time? If they take 5 minutes, it means that I have 4 minutes. Now, the whole investment with the work that I'm doing in prisons is in that innovative and creativity. Because I always believe that each and every one of us has something unique and something special to contribute into this world. And I'm not saying that now all prisoners are good, because you'll never find another Sihle. Because there is this notion and belief that now, you need to be able now to be born in such, or just because now you come from a disadvantaged background, this is how your life would turn out to be. We kind of like tend to instill fate in people's mindsets, especially now in younger kids today, because I work with most of them. Most of my day-to-day life, I work with young kids. Sexual debuts in our township, for instance, in Langa, because of the tech drug, starts at the age of 12. Today, you can get sex for $30 at the age of 12. By the time that some of them gets to 14, 15, they're already teenage moms. Now, you can imagine. So we need to be realistic in terms of how we solve today's problems. Even Albert Einstein realized this, that we cannot change today's problems with the same mindset that created them. It means that now we need to have a different mindset, a different belief system. It means that now today's challenges can never be solved by yesterday's success. It means that we need to develop a new mindset, new opportunities, new systems. And in each and every one of us, we have a grandest weapon called choice. We can always choose differently. That determines our end destination in this life, not fate. Most people are always told us, Sihle, what was your turning point? And I always tell them, I don't know. Why is it that you'll be interested in my turning point? I just woke up and made a decision that I no longer want to continue doing the work that I'm doing now. Rather, change. And the prison provided me with that opportunity. Prison did not rehabilitate me, because in prisons, we don't have any effective rehabilitation programs to rehabilitate offenders. That's why South Africa has the highest recidivism rate of over 80% of offenders that gets to reoffend and go back to prisons. If the problem persists in South Africa, you can imagine what is it that now we are heading to. I mean, it's not that South Africa has these only problems. Even first world countries, the US, reoffending rate is over 50%. UK, it's over 40%. Australia have the same problems. So we are not different. It's just that now our levels are quite higher here because of our history, because of where we come from. So it means that now we need to develop a new mindset. We need to develop a new thinking, because we have kind of like, instilled this belief that you have to go through school, finish school, get a degree, and then you have a beautiful life. I mean, I've just saw recent statistics now, 33.6% of graduates that are unemployed in South Africa. So a degree does not guarantee you a job, because every township kids now aspire to go to university, but they go to university and study towards skills or careers that will not get them, that are not in demand, that will not provide them with a better life. And then they take those degrees and become cashiers at Spa, and also now work at call centers. Now we need to be realistic. Let's tell the people the truth. Let's inspire these young kids now to look at life and believe in life in a 3D formation. My 3D is about teaching these kids how to dream different dreams. You heard in my presentation, I've never even used the word poor, because I'm not poor just because I'm black. Politicians now have even developed a new terminology called the poorest of the poor, which really makes one's self-worth and dignity very low. Now, let me tell you something. If you tell a group of people that they are poor, and you tell them every day, they succumb to that, identify with that, and then the danger is when they act that out. But they come to Langa from Thursdays up until Sunday. The taverns and the pubs are booming. A 750 ml quart of beer, it's 14 rand and 14 rand 50. A loaf of bread, it's 10 rand. Are people in these communities poor just because they cannot afford, or poor in prioritization? That's why I'm very fascinated and love people like Mahatma Gandhi's and the Steve Bikos, because they realize that true liberation is not liberation of wealth, it's liberation of the mind. That's what I realized in prison. Even though that now I was incarcerated physically, but my revolution was not. Because today, what I am doing was inspired by someone in prison. I used to be a teacher in prison for 2 years, teaching mathematics and English. I don't have a teaching qualification. One day, a student of mine stood up and asked me a question. Sihle, tell me, what is it that I can study now that will be relevant in 10 years when I'm released out of prison? And I couldn't give him an answer. Now, if you are a fake or a Hong Kong teacher, that's where you get caught. It's when you can't provide answers to your students. But somehow, he planted a seed. Yes, I could not do anything about it in prison because I didn't have access to computers and internet. But when I came out to find that now Langa, even though that I have been absent in that township for the past 11 years, it hasn't changed. It's still the same. That's where now I was inspired now to do something innovative, something audacious, something bold, something that has never been done in the township, because I wanted also now to challenge the status quo. I then decided now to teach myself how to program. So I'm a self-taught software developer. I taught myself how to code in 3 languages in 6 weeks using online free material. Today, I get to be invited at UCT and University of Stellenbosch to come and mentor BSc Computer Science students, but I don't have a BSc Computer Science degree. And we've often been told that you need mathematics and science for you to learn or to enter into a BSc Computer Science degree, because mathematics and science teaches about problem solving. So is life challenges. So is poverty. Because if you are challenged or faced with these challenges on a daily basis, you develop a different mindset, which is survival mode. You learn every trick outside the book, not in the book, outside the book, in terms of how do you survive. How do you make sure that when you go to bed on a full tummy? So it means that now the same methodology or the same mindset or the same belief that mathematics and science teaches you, same applies when it comes to life lessons, but that has never been documented. It's like a prison philosophy. So we need to be realistic in terms of how is it that now we bring across certain messages. And also now let's stop using words that makes people now to feel less self of themselves. Let's use words that inspire people. Let's stop now, even sometimes I get to be challenged now to come and speak on SMME, because when you start with that S, it means small. It means you are small. Why is it that we can't remove that and say that, okay, these are micro enterprises? Because, I mean, these are businesses that get to create more employment in this country. But we still refer to them as being small. They are never small. So let's stop using words that really makes people now to feel less of themselves. Let's use words that inspire people. And we can invent those words. It's like Beyonce, who invented bootylicious because of her curves. Today we find it in dictionary with a definition. So it means that we have the power. To create our own words. One last thing before I get off that I would love to talk about. I mean, part of my work that I do, even though that I'm an ex-offender, still under parole because my sentence only expires in 2022 in April, I get to travel the world. One of the countries that I've been just last year was Singapore. It's a first world country. You know, they don't have any mineral resources like in our country. And 50 years of independence, unemployment rate is below 5%. Their biggest GDP contributors is the financial sector because you get all the world banks there. And the second one is tech. And why is it that I get to mention tech is because I'm in the tech space. And I believe that now tech has a role to play in terms of accelerating growth, creating new jobs, and also now providing a decent living income in these communities. We should stop seeing ourselves as just users of technology, rather creators of technology. Because the same information that get to develop these products, all these surveys are conducted by people in the township. And then they feed these developers and they build products. So it means that we need to create our own versions of products. But that is never possible if we don't provide the necessary trainings that enables people now to be able now to do that. Sometimes I get to be invited to come and sit and mentor in these panels and be a judge. Out of 23 contestants that gets to come and present their businesses, you'll find there's only one black. Even his type of business still needs some sort of rework. So let's work together in changing these communities for the better, because I always believe that now together we can do so much more. I mean, when I was in prison, the first book that I read was a book by a Brazilian author called Paulo Coelho. The book name is called The Alchemist. And inside the book, there was a legal quote from an unknown author that reads that If you are looking for a miracle in life and you can't find one, be that miracle for other people. And since then, I've dedicated my life. Since then, I've dedicated my life in being the miracle for other people. Thank you.